Hello, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Kate, and I'm from Self Help Tarot. Today we are going to do a tarot reading. We're going to ask the cards and other oracle decks some thoughts on how to cope in difficult times. So I hope you're doing good today. I hope you're having a good day, and I hope that you're safe out there and everything's going as well as it can. I know that, every time we turn on the news, there is something else to be stressed about. And so I thought we could all hear what Spirit has to tell us about how to cope with difficult times. And difficult times can mean lots of things. It could mean, like I said, about the news, but it could also mean maybe your own difficult times, because every human has difficulties that we go through. So let's start with the tarot. And then I thought we could ask some other decks that I have here, kind of ways to cope. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. So, tarot. How can we cope during difficult times? How can we cope during difficult times? Okay, I'm going to cut the deck. And then my intuition's telling me to pull 5 cards. Okay, so we've got, here I'm going to put this deck over there. All right, so we're just going to go through them one by one and see what the tarot has to say. So we do have some reversals. And what I like to do with reverse cards is I do like to ask my intuition, are they supposed to be reversed? It's just a little extra step I learned from the mentors that taught me. So let's go through them. Is this supposed to be reversed? I got a yes. Is this supposed to be reversed? Yep. Is this supposed to be reversed? Yep, they're all supposed to be reversed. So sometimes I think that's helpful just because the meanings, this one too. Is this supposed to be reversed? Okay, so we do have a lot of reversals. This one was a yes as well. Let's start with this one. So this one is the Two of Pentacles, but it was upside down. And the Two of Pentacles is really about like this balance act, kind of deciding between like which plan to go. There's some abundance back here, but we've got these different options. So where should we go? So I think that this is going to kind of tell us that right now with just the difficulties of things and how to cope, I think it's probably going to be about putting down these concerns of like what to do, putting it down. And I think being in the present moment, recognizing that there's some abundance coming along, but setting it down is kind of what I'm getting, that we got to set that down. And then the next card is the Nine of Pentacles. And this card is really nice. It's a beautiful, positive card. It's talking about like our own garden, our own Eden. So basically what I think it's saying is how to cope is let's put down our thoughts on what to do and maybe just kind of focus on our own blessings, our own abundance. Like what do we have in our life that makes us feel like we're in our own garden of Eden, right? So maybe that's the people you have. Maybe it's the job you have. Maybe it is, maybe it's your stuff. Maybe it's your kids, your pets. You guys get what I'm saying. So I think, trying to focus on our blessings, focusing on what the abundance we do have. So we got to put it down, though. We got to put down the what to do first in order to get to feeling this way. And this is similar. This is very interesting. We've got the Ten of Wands here. And the Ten of Wands was reversed. And this card, if you can tell, look, he's carrying a burden. This is a tricky, heavy, awkward burden he's carrying. But the castle, the end is right here. It's right there. And so I think upside down, this is saying that we have to want to put it down. Put down the burden of our fears and our worries. We have to want to. In order to get to this, we have to want to put it down. So allow yourself to come out of feeling stuck in this fearful anxiety place that I think we find ourselves in with everything going on. So put it down, really work on setting down the load and letting yourself rest because the end is in sight. It's right here. The end is in sight, which is really exciting. All right, this one is the Eight of Pentacles. We have a lot of pentacles Actually, they're all pentacles now that I look closer. No, I'm sorry. This one's wands. Hello, I just pulled that. We just looked at that card. Okay, so most of them are pentacles. Okay, so this one is the Eight of Pentacles, and this one is talking about like really focusing in on what you have control over. So see this guy, he's working on this pentacle, he's creating his wares, essentially. It was reversed, and so I think this is going to be more of an internal thing for you to think about. What is it that you can do that you have control over? And recognize what you have control over and what you don't. So what you do have control over is what you're going to work on, what you're going to put your attention to, what you're going to create in your life, and recognize that we don't have control over a lot of what's going on. Okay, and then this last one is the Three of Pentacles, but it was reversed. And so the Three of Pentacles talks a lot about like how do we ask for help from other people, how do we support each other and work together. And being reversed, I would say like how is it helping right now maybe to stay isolated, to not ask for help. And so I would say that maybe to cope with this, we have to unstuck. That's not a way to word that. We have to allow ourselves to not feel stuck and to start asking people for help. And so to turn this upright, that's going to be talking to people we admire, asking people who have gone through hard times, maybe like our elders, really checking in with like how do we cope with this stuff? How can we find community through this pandemic and through this difficult stuff that we're going through? And if this is referring to difficult times in your own life, how do we ask others who have maybe gone through what we've already, like what you're going through? So asking help. But it's about wanting to ask for help, I think is what this is saying. Okay, so is that making sense? And I think if we look at it this way too, in order to set this down and turn this one upright so that we can release all this, we have to ask for help, I think, because this is a heavy load. It's really heavy. And I think too over here, being able to look at what we can choose to set this down, to kind of set down that this thing that's in our hands that we're balancing and we're kind of moving around. We can set it down. We don't have to keep thinking about it and mulling it over in our heads in order to create this feeling, this Eden, this garden. Does that make sense? All right, let's go ahead and ask. We're going to talk to this deck. I like to hear what this one has to say. So, how can we cope during difficult times? Is what we're going to ask. How can we cope during difficult times? Okay. We'll cut it. This one says to work through your fears. Do you see that beautiful card? I love that. Okay, so to work through your fears. And so how do we do that? To work through our fears? Well, I think one of the best ways to work through your fears is to journal. Follow me on Instagram. I've got lots of journaling prompts all the time because working through our fears is so imperative to getting our brain to stop. So this is like this one, like letting it go, setting it down, to work through our fears. It could also be about asking for help. So maybe we're talking to people that we care about, who we admire, and we are tuning into our spiritual side. So this purple is so spiritual. It is connecting to our crown chakras, trusting in our inner knowledge, our inner wisdom. And so that's going to help us to connect into our higher selves, ground, and then let go of the fears. Because the fears are just keeping you stuck. That's what's happening here. We're just keeping ourselves stuck with this burden, right? So that's really good advice. And it's so imperative right now because, like I said, every time I turn on the news, there's so much fear. There's so much fear. I mean, over the last 4 or 5 months, it has been a lot of fear. So we got to take care of our brains. We got to take care of our own fears. Let's ask the animal spirits what they want to tell us about how to cope in difficult times. Okay, I'm going to put this one aside because it did just jump out. But we'll see if we get any other, let's see, or not any other because of course we will. But let's see what else. Okay, it's kind of funny. I think it's funny when cards jump out. Okay, oh, we've got two. Oh, how interesting. Okay, so they're both small animal spirits. Okay, so for the one that jumped out is the ant spirit, which talks about collaborating. It's time to work together. Think about how ants work together for the common good. So it's time to think about how we're going to put our puzzle pieces together, how we're going to make this issue that we're having in terms of like our fears and the burden and being able to ask for help, how we're going to collaborate. And so this kind of goes back to this card, right? How are we going to collaborate and work together with people? And so like I said, it could be people that you trust, that you admire, but maybe it's also people that you struggle with. I have a video that I did a reading too of like how to deal with people you dislike. So that could be a good one if you want to go back to that one. But because it could be about like how do we deal with people that we dislike, that we don't agree with, but we have to collaborate. We have to figure out a way to come together. I think that's what this is saying. So the other one I pulled is the spider spirit. And this one is talking about think about like how spiders spend time on weaving their webs and how important that web is for their life. That's where their abundance comes from. That's where their protection comes from. And so I think what this means is like, let's put some energy into how you how you live. How do you create your own home? How do you create your own home inside your own body, right? So how do we treat ourselves? How do we treat our stuff? That kind of thing. And so I think with coping, it's about like taking care of things, right? That's what this one was saying. Like, how do we create things? How do we take care of things that we have? How do we recognize our abundance? Okay, is that all making sense so far? All right, we've got a lot of cards here. I'm just going to kind of put those on top. Okay, let's do this card. We've got one more I want to do. I love this Power of Love deck. I just want to know, how can we add love into coping with difficult times? How can we add love into coping with difficult times? Okay. Pull that. And it says evolution. Look at all this green. Green is God's color. Green is so beautiful. It's the color of our heart chakra. It's open and loving. Oh my gosh. And it says you realize that obstacles are merely lessons on your path to love. So as we deal with this, as we come through these difficult times that we're in, that you might be in right now, we're going to come out stronger. You know, there's that saying, what is it? Like, it's not over till everything's okay. I'm probably butchering the saying. I'm terrible at sayings. Something like that, right? Like, it's not over because it's not okay. And so I think we have to think about that too, is like, as we grow and learn in this scenario, I know for myself, when I look back over the last 4 months, I have really worked through a lot of my stuff, and I wonder if that's how you guys are feeling. And I think this is what this is saying, is this is an opportunity to evolve. And so if we can look at it as a blessing, change our thoughts about it, that's going to release our fears. That's going to let us set down this burden. That is going to let us ask for help, create more in our life, and find this. This is the ultimate right here. We want to find this garden, right? We want to live in this abundance and gratitude every day, regardless of what's going on in the world, right? So, okay, I hope that you found value out of this reading. I love you all. I really hope that you're having a good day, that this was helpful. Please comment below. I'd love to hear what you thought. I would also love it if you liked the video and subscribed. So I hope you're well, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. Thanks.